When we need to prepare for a competitive event, our go-to company is the Army Painter.
Thanks to their complete range of paints, spray cans, and gaming tools, we're able to complete our new armies and units in no time.
When we need to elevate the quality of our models and terrain, the Army Painter is always our first choice.
You may not know this, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive events than any other hobby company.
Tournament wargaming is in their DNA.
Visit thearmypainter.com to learn more about their amazing products.
And use promo code AWPaints for a 5% discount from your Army Painter purchases.
What are you waiting for? Discover the best way to prepare your models for events with the Army Painter today.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Art of War. This is a super exciting video for me personally because I am a massive fan of the old Adeptus Mechanicus, and I have always longingly looked at the AdMech models from the Horus Heresy Forge World line. Big resin kits, they look amazing, but resin is a nightmare to build. They're not that accessible overall. I also don't play Horus Heresy competitively or otherwise. So I've always loved the models. I've been hoping they get ported over to Warhammer 40k so that I could play them. And if you're new and just checking us out, probably coming from the Horus Heresy side of things, our channel is mostly focused on competitive 40k, but we do love the lore of Warhammer. That is what got us into it, and we also love the aesthetic of all the different models that Games Workshop puts out. So I, with my kind of long history of playing the Adeptus Mechanicus and my love of the faction, I have been thankfully granted from the Fabricator General at Games Workshop the amazing new box right there. And this is going to be the Mechanicus Battle Group. So this is going to be plastic models for the AdMech in the Horus Heresy. And you get a whole bunch of new models, which I'll go through in just a second. But the box set is amazing. I'm going to go through all the aspects of it. And I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on how easy it is to build these models, and overall kind of where, if you are playing Warhammer 40k, you can't use these just yet, or ever possibly, who knows. But as of right now, they won't have any 40k rules. And so, but you could use them as conversions, and there's plenty of options on that, in my opinion. So if you're coming here for the lore on the AdMech in Horus Heresy, if I do get the rule set and the lore book, I'll go ahead and probably do a video on that, as well as any other models that come out for AdMech and Horus Heresy. But this one's just going to focus on the Mechanicum Battle Group box set, which is going to be the first in those releases. So without further ado, let's talk about the box set in general. So what do you get in this bad boy? Well, you get actually quite a bit of things. So first of all, you're going to get one Triaros conveyor, which is the main transport of the Adeptus Mechanicus during the Horus Heresy. It's quite a large vehicle. It's much larger than a Rhino or the Thallax drill. It's similar in size to a Land Raider. I believe it's longer, but a little less wide. But it's similar to the Land Raider, if you want that comparison. And it's going to carry a variety of units, but it's a fantastic transport. I don't know what the rules are going to be, but it looks amazing, and it's iconic 40k, iconic AdMech. And me as a 40k player, enormously jealous of not being able to get these models for like playing them in 40k, because this is the aesthetic of AdMech that I love. A lot of grimy machines, there's treads everywhere, there's all sorts of weird archaeotech guns, and just strange things going on with the AdMech. That's what I love about it. So it's been a little bit unfortunate to me personally. I haven't found the 40k AdMech models that have been released more recently quite as appealing, but these Horus Heresy models fill the exact gap that I was looking for. And like I said, I think they're going to be ripe for some amount of conversions. Now in 40k, the main transport for the Adeptus Mechanicus is the Dune Rider. They got rid of the Thallax drill, unfortunately, even though that was an amazing kit. And this thing is significantly bigger than the Dune Rider, and it's also closed top. This one's going to be hard to convert. It is quite possible that you could find a way to do it. There's a lot of creative minds out there, but I think overall it's going to be one of the harder things to potentially do. Because even if you want to just throw the large treads on the sides of the tank, that is probably not going to work, and it's going to dramatically increase the size of the model. So this one looks amazing. Hopefully it'll get ported or something similar into 40k. but right now it is it's probably not going to be the easiest one to convert. Then you get 2 of the Castellax battle automata. So these are similar to the Castellan robots. They're a bit smaller overall in height, but on the other hand, they have a older aesthetic. Some people think that the Castellan robots look a little on the cartoony, sillier side. These ones look straight up machine-like. They have a bunch of different weapon options that you get with them. I believe 3 different gun options, and then you could either go for, I think 2 different arm options. There's a flame option and another one. So you get a lot of the unique war gear that AdMech have during the Horus Heresy, which is fantastic. And you're going to get 2 of those guys. Then you're going to get 6 of the Thallax, which is the jump pack infantry. These are also battle automata. And then finally, you're going to get 20 Tech-thralls. These are your kind of basic troops. So let's go ahead and dive in here and talk about kind of how the building went, how accessible is this box set and what else comes in it. So first off, you're going to get 3 transfer sheets. One of them is it has a special name, the Mechanicum Macro Constructs transfer sheet. And this one's quite large. It has a variety of different symbols here for the different sub-factions of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and then has a bunch of iconography and transfers that you can put on the tanks or the shoulder pads or various parts of the models. And then you get 2 more transfer sheets. These ones are also called Mechanicum Constructs transfer sheets. So these are for the Castellax and the Thallax, but you get plenty of them. So if you plan to, if you have some of the resin Forge World ones and didn't have transfers, didn't buy the transfers, or they're wearing, you could potentially have extras and use them, which is super nice. Then you get the old instruction booklet. The instructions, quite clear overall. I think out of the builds, funnily enough, the Triaros conveyor was one of the easier builds that I ended up, feeling was probably the easiest, I think. Obviously, the Tech-thralls are going to be easy due to the lack of pieces, but for a large vehicle, this one's significantly easier to build overall. And I found that usually with tread vehicles, once you get to the treads, you get glue all over your hands, and it's a complete pain to work with. But the Triaros was actually pretty darn easy overall. So I felt really happy with that build. It took me maybe like 45 minutes to an hour to build it, which seems quite low. Obviously, I built a lot of models for 40K, but with the new plastic Horus Heresy kits, there's quite a lot of detail and depth to these models and a lot of pieces. But for a vehicle of this size, it was darn easy. I probably put the 2 tread pieces together in maybe like 15-20 minutes, let them glue, built the center and then the top of it. Then you just slap it all together. You put the top shielding piece on and then the final gun pieces, and you're done. So it's actually quite an easy build. So you could probably knock a couple of these out if you get multiple battle groups quite easily. So big fan of that kit. Looks amazing. You should be looking at pictures of it right now. Spinning around. I did paint these up. Obviously, I'll put more details on them as I go, but didn't have an amazing amount of time to try and finish these models for this video. Then heading over to our next one, it's going to be the 2 Castellax. I found this to be the most difficult of the builds out of all 4 different units here. And it wasn't like it was a genuinely difficult unit, but it took me longer than I expected. And some of the instructions when building the pieces of the center body were a little unclear exactly where you're supposed to fit. And I actually, one of them, I glued the center bottom piece slightly off of where it should be, so it didn't fit as neatly into the bottom legs / torso connection that I would have wanted. So I think this was the most challenging of them, mostly because of that centerpiece. Legs were super easy, arms were super easy, the gun was easy. And like I said, you get multiple gun options here on the Castellax, which is great. Then the Thanatar. The only difficulty about this, really easy kit to put together, probably took me maybe 45 minutes to put all 6 together. And the only difficulty is there is a lot of little pieces. So the jump pack piece has kind of the main part, and then you have this little ring that goes around. You have all these little ends of the jetpack areas, and there's 6 of those. And then there's kind of little bits and bobs. And this is probably the second most difficult kit because the connection between the wires coming out of the gun going into the body of the Thallax is probably, it should line up perfectly, but you have to be very careful when gluing it. And I misaligned, I believe, 2 of them, unfortunately. I was trying to build them relatively quick, to be fair, but just be careful on the connection between the wires and the body. And then finally, you have the 20 Tech-thralls, and these Tech-thralls are going to be, overall they're quite easy to build. There's a decent amount of pieces. Because there's 20 of them, they will take some amount of time. There's a lot of different options in the kit for pretty much every single thing here. There's multiple gun options and then sometimes additional. So for the Tech-thralls, there's a lot of different helmet options that you could potentially use. And I ended up trying to use many of the more interesting looking helmets here, but they have plenty of different options. So if you love one helmet style, there's going to be enough of them. I think I have probably like 20 extra helmets or something crazy. I had a lot of extra helmets, which was really nice. And if you are a particular fan of certain guns on some of these models, you have enough to run every model with the same gun. Besides, I believe the Thallax, I believe you can run the lightning gun on all of them. And then it comes with maybe 2 to 4 multi-meltas. I think it's 2 of each special weapon of the unique, like larger weapons, but it might be a couple additional, but I don't believe I could make 6 multi-melta ones, for instance. So that's the only smaller detail. So if you do want to, I don't know what the rules are going to be, but if 6 multi-meltas in a Thallax unit are the best option, you might need to potentially buy another kit. Or if you're just somebody who is modeling just to make them look cool, but you want the unit to have all the guns. If you don't like the lightning gun and you want one of the special weapons, you might need an additional kit to get them all to match. So that's just one thing to be aware of. But overall, this was a relatively easy build. I pretty much built everything over a day, maybe day and a half. And then the painting, at this standard, as you've seen in the pictures, probably took me about 2 days to knock this out. So haven't done final, I haven't done all the extra colors I want to add or any of the transfers or stuff like that. But there's plenty of unique details that you can bring out in these models. So really happy with this kit. Thanks to Games Workshop for sending it over. And like I said, if you're more interested in the lore aspects of the AdMech, if I do get the rule set and the lore that comes along with it, I'll do a more full breakdown of that and all the things in it. And if I happen to get any of the additional models, I know they previewed some other ones. I think it was a Tech Priest and a Thanatar Siege Automata. So if I do end up getting those ones, I will talk about those kits as well. But otherwise, if you're joining for the first time here and you're not aware of Art of War, we are a competitive channel focused on Warhammer 40k. So if you're not interested in competitive 40k, no problem. We have a lot of more casual-oriented streams, kind of breaking down the game in a more accessible way on our YouTube channel. So check those out. There's a lot of things where if you just want to try 10th edition but didn't really know where to start, we have an intro video from back when the edition released, and we have a lot of introductory guides to various factions, tier lists related to which units you would want to get. So if you're joining us for the first time, have played Warhammer 40k in the past, or are thinking about it, do check out those. We're bringing our vast knowledge of the game to bear on the YouTube channel. And if you do want more, if you have friends who play competitive 40k or want to learn the match play version, tell them about our worm at theworm.vhx.tv. There's a lot of cool content in there, and it's kind of like accessing the minds of some of the top players in the world and at your fingertips if you want it. Otherwise, Horus Heresy people, keep on rocking because you guys got some of the absolute coolest models in the entire game. Or Games Workshop sphere. I'm enormously jealous of the Horus Heresy AdMech models. I want all of these guys. I think you can very easily make the Tech-thralls Skitarii or servitors if you want to run them. Although servitors are a little less, they've been cut out of the Games Workshop 40k roster. They're trying to cut down on servitors. So probably you can mix these with Skitarii kits and get a pretty decent, like if you are mostly a cult mech type of person in the 40k sphere and don't like the aesthetic of the Skitarii, you could combine the Tech-thralls with some Skitarii bits in order to create a cool, more cult mech looking model. Same thing for the Castellax. If you don't like the Castellan robot style, you can mix that kit with this one and probably come up with a really cool looking model, I'm sure. And then the Thallax don't really have a one-to-one type of unit. AdMech doesn't have many jump infantry. They have Taraxi, but their wings are vastly different. However, once again, if you want to kind of kit bash them, you potentially could leave the jetpack off the Thallax and use the Taraxi backpack, because it is actually very similar shaped, and potentially have a combo there where you use the wings of the Taraxi and use the body of the Thallax, and the body of the Thallax is fantastic. And then finally, the Triaros doesn't really have something that fits. AdMech don't have too many large tanks in 40k. The Dune Rider or the Dune Crawler is very different. The Dune Rider Transport is too thin and narrow and not quite the same size. And then the Scorpius Disintegrator just doesn't fit that either. The Scorpius isn't that wide either. So I think it'll be a little tricky to use that one, but hopefully it'll get 40k rules at some point. But otherwise, thanks so much for joining. Let me know in the comments below which AdMech models you're most excited for, or if you have any questions about the box set or some of the things in it. I didn't go through every single detail here, but I would be happy to answer any specific questions. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks to Games Workshop for sending these kits over. And I will definitely, if I get the book, do more on the lore of the Horus Heresy AdMech as well as the rules. So thanks so much, everybody. And I will see you all next time for plenty more content. So long for now.